Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a different type of video. I have never done a video like this on my channel, but this is something I've been really interested in doing for a long time. I just didn't know what to call these type of videos. I know that Bella Fiore, I hope I didn't pronounce her last name wrong, but all credit goes to her. She has her like Mystery Monday series on her channel, and she covers a ton of different cases. I'm going to have her videos linked down below and her channel linked down below, but you guys, I didn't know if you guys wanted to actually see something like this. If I wasn't doing like YouTube, something I wanted to do was like do something with like forensics, like I don't know, work in the morgue, something like with like crime investigation. And I asked you guys on Instagram if this is something you guys would like to see. I got so much positive feedback. Like seriously, almost all of you guys said that you guys did want to see this. And I also asked you guys to DM me cases through my Instagram, and this was like the #1 top case that you guys wanted to see me cover. This case did get a lot of media attention. This case was huge when it happened, and I have seen a couple other people cover this case. I still wanted to cover it just because I want you guys to hear my thoughts on it. Like, there's so much to this case that is just literally crazy and blows my freaking mind, you guys. So I wanted to come on here and bring you guys my take on, this case, my opinions, my thoughts, some theories that I have, and some theories, discuss other theories that other people have as well. Also, this is my first video like this, so I kind of need to find my gist. I do want your guys' feedback in the comments box below on how you guys think I did nicely. Let me know what I could change, Since it's my first video I've done like this, I don't really know too much how to go about it. I'm going to try to mostly stick to the facts. I can talk for days, so I'm going to try to stick to the facts, not say too much of my opinions. I'm going to try to not say too much of my opinions, and then later on, after I cover like the case and talk about the facts of the case, then I'll talk about my opinions, theories that I have, and theories that other people have. But today I'm going to be covering the Caylee Marie Anthony case. Caylee Marie Anthony was a 2-year-old little girl, and her mom was Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony grew up with both of her parents, Cindy and George Anthony, and her brother Lee. At the time of when the case happened, I don't know if her brother Lee was still in the household or if he had already moved out, because I know that later on, obviously he, made his own family, got married, had his own kids and stuff. I'm pretty sure he had his own kids. They lived in Orlando, Florida, and Casey was described by her parents as a happy, intelligent, energetic little girl. That's how they described her. And getting into her teenage years, Casey loved to party. She was a big party girl. Like, she was always at parties. So later on, when she was 19, she actually ended up getting pregnant, and Casey did contemplate adoption, but her parents, Cindy and George, did not agree. Obviously, I'm pretty sure, they wanted to have, it was their first granddaughter, so I'm pretty sure they were excited, they didn't want to give her up for adoption, so they said that they told Casey that they would help her raise her, and they could all live in the same house, and, everything would be good. So then on August 9, 2005, Casey gave birth to Caylee Marie Anthony, and she was a beautiful little girl. And after she was born, they obviously went to go live with Cindy and George Anthony, Casey's parents, and Cindy and George loved their granddaughter. They loved Caylee. There's videos of them swimming together, there's pictures of them together, or there's pictures of them swimming together, and there's interviews with Cindy and George that I've seen, and the way that they talk about Caylee, you can tell how much love they had for her. You can tell how much this has emotionally affected them, and they loved their granddaughter. They adored her. Caylee was everything to them. During this time, as Caylee was growing up, Casey was still partying. I believe she was still partying. She was, she still loved to party. And Cindy and George did talk to her. They did tell her that they felt like she was being a little bit irresponsible, that they felt like she should be taking better care of Caylee. And on June 16th, 2008, Casey actually decided to leave Cindy and George Anthony's house, her parents, and she took her daughter Caylee with her, who at the time was already 2 years old. She told Cindy and George that she was leaving because she was going to be traveling between jobs. To my understanding, I don't think she told them where she was going, or honestly, I don't think she really gave them too much of an explanation, and that was the last time that Caylee was seen alive. During the time that they were gone, which was about a month, to be exact, 31 days, Cindy did reach out to Casey a ton of times. She reached out to her so many times asking to see Caylee. She told her that she hadn't seen Caylee in a while, that she wanted to see her granddaughter, that she missed her, and she was trying to track her down, and every single time Casey always had an excuse as to why they could not see Caylee. She said that she was either too busy with work or that Caylee was with the nanny. She said that she got a nanny for Caylee and that her name was Zanny. So later on, this turned into like a whole Zanny the nanny thing, and Zanny's name was, if I'm looking down at any point during the video, it's because I literally took so many notes. Guys, I have like 10 pages of notes. This video, I had been wanting to do it already, but it took me like 3 days to do research and, you know, find everything that I wanted to, you know, talk about for the video. But her name was Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez, and she went by the name of Zanny. Casey claimed that Caylee was always with Zanny, that she was at Zanny's apartment. So no matter how many times Cindy asked to see Caylee, Casey always made up excuses, and Casey was a really, really big liar. Casey would lie about everything, which will be very clear during the details that I tell you guys later on about the case. She would lie and lie and lie and lie about everything, you guys. And on July 13th, 2008, Cindy and George got a notice from the post office for a certified letter, and on July 15th, 2008, George picked up the letter from the post office, and they said that his daughter's car was in the impound. Well, Casey's car was in the impound, but it was actually the family's car, which is why I'm guessing that he got the notice for the car. When he went to go pick up the car from the tow yard, George and the tow yard attendant noticed that there was a smell coming from the trunk, and it smelled like a decomposing body. So they obviously checked the trunk, and there was nothing in the trunk besides some garbage bags. There was no body, like no human remains found besides trash. But George had worked, I don't know if he was something with like the police department. He had worked with the police department before. He had worked with the police department before. I don't know if he was a sheriff, so he was familiar with the smell. He knew what a decomposing body smelled like. At this point, they started to get really suspicious. Cindy and George both started to get suspicious. They were worried. I'm pretty sure about Casey and Caylee. At this point, they really didn't know if anything was wrong with Caylee at all. But Cindy ended up tracking down Casey. She ended up finding out that she was lying to her the entire time, that she actually wasn't in Tampa, Florida, like she said, working on a work assignment. She was actually living with her boyfriend at the time, or her fiance at the time, and she demanded to see Caylee. She asked her where Caylee was, that she wanted to see Caylee, that she hadn't seen her, that to take her to Caylee right there and then. And Casey tried to lie about it. She tried to make up all these excuses, you know. She tried to tell her that she was with the nanny, and Cindy was really insistent about it. She told her that she wanted to see Caylee right there and then. After trying to lie about it, Casey actually ended up admitting to Cindy that Caylee had been missing for 31 days, that she didn't know anything about her daughter for 31 days, and she had not reported it for 31 days, which, like, what parent, like, in what, like, whose mind does that make sense, you know? Like, whose mind does that make sense to not report, you know, their daughter missing for 31 days? And Cindy and Casey actually ended up calling the cops, and they reported Caylee missing.
I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff saying I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
And Cindy actually told the 911 operator that they found her daughter's car, Casey's car, and that the trunk smelled like a decomposing body, like there had been a dead body in there.
There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the car.
Another thing to take note on is that during the 31 days that Caylee was missing, Casey wasn't really looking for her. She wasn't really doing anything to find Caylee. She was out partying still, you know, honestly being irresponsible. Like, what parent, like, my first red flag, I don't want to talk too much about my opinions until the end, but my first red flag is how she didn't report her missing for 31 days. Like, who does that? Who does that? What parent does that? When Casey was on the phone with the 911 operator, she claimed that her whole thing was, she claimed that she did not report Caylee missing because she was finding other resources, going to other resources to find her, that she wanted, like, she said that she was basically doing it for the safety of her child, that she didn't want it to be worse for Caylee, that she was trying to find her on her own, which is complete bullshit because she was out partying the whole time.
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
And you know who has her?
I know who has her. I've tried to contact her. I actually received a phone call today.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her, which was stupid.
Casey told the cops that she left Caylee with Zanny, that she was the last person to see her, that she left her with Zanny at Zanny's apartment, but the apartment that she gave them was empty had already been empty for 141 days, so that's already, you know, a lie. Another thing that she told them, and sorry that I'm looking down, but I'm looking down at my notes so I can, you know, give you guys the facts. Another thing that she told them was she told them that she worked at Universal Studios in Florida, and they actually made her go, like they made her take the cops, like the investigators, to her office at Universal Studios, and then she kept taking them around this like wild like goose chase, like giving them all this, telling them all these lies, kind of beating around the bush. And then she actually ended up admitting to them that she actually doesn't work there, that she hadn't worked there for a while now, that they had fired her years ago. That she hadn't worked there for years already. On July 16th, 2008, Casey Anthony was actually arrested, and she was charged with child neglect for not reporting Caylee missing for 31 days. Then on July 22nd, 2008, at a bond hearing, detectives actually revealed that they found strands of hair that looked like Caylee's in the trunk of the Anthony's car, aka Casey's car, and cadaver dogs actually smelled human decomposition in the trunk, and also evidence of chloroform. And if you guys don't know what chloroform is, it's basically I don't know how to explain it. It's basically a liquid that you can put, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it in movies, because I've seen it in movies, where like kidnappers or whatever, they put it on a rag, and it's basically to knock a person out. They put it on a rag and they put it over the person's nose, and it kind of knocks them out. And then that day, Casey became a person of interest in her daughter Caylee's disappearance, and they ruled the case as a potential homicide. So Casey was known as like one of the most hated people alive. It's like one of the most hated, one of the worst mothers. People hated her. Like, this case was huge, you guys. There was people fighting, like fighting over this. Like, Cindy and George got so much hate, and they got threats because people were threatening them and hating them, and I don't know how to explain this. They were hating them for basically making excuses for their daughter Casey, for protecting their daughter Casey when they knew that Casey had murdered Caylee. Cindy and George Anthony, obviously they wanted to believe their daughter. Casey, at the end of the day, aside from anything, was their daughter, is their daughter, so they wanted to believe Casey. They wanted to believe that Casey wouldn't be capable of killing her own daughter Caylee. Like, to this day, Cindy is like more in denial, and she believes that Casey didn't have anything to do with it. She believes that Casey did not kill her. George, on the other hand, says that if Casey didn't kill Caylee, that he believes that she knows what happened to Caylee, that she knows who killed Caylee if it wasn't her, and George also said that he believes that Casey should be locked up. She should be in jail for Caylee's disappearance. He also kind of blames himself, saying that he feels like he should have done more, that he didn't protect Caylee enough. Moving on, after Casey's arrest, she was actually released on August 21st, 2008, after a bounty hunter, I believe his name was Padilla. He posted her bond after Casey had contacted him, but then Casey was arrested later on different charges that didn't have anything to do with it, didn't involve Caylee's case. Then on September 1st, 2008, the police actually said that they believed that Caylee was no longer alive. It had been way too long. It had already been months, The last time she was seen alive was June 16th, 2008, and it's already September now. So on October 14th, 2008, Casey was actually charged with first-degree murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter, and providing false information to law enforcement. Then, sadly, on December 11th, 2008, a meter reader by the name Roy Kronk found a black plastic bag by like a swamp area. I believe it was a swamp near the Anthony's home. He hit the bag with a meter stick, and a human skull fell out. A human skull. He obviously called the cops after, and he reported this to the cops, and on December 19th, 2008, Caylee Anthony was confirmed dead.
Welcome back. Continue to cover breaking news today. This is very near the Anthony home on Chickasaw Trail and Suburban Drive, where authorities have confirmed that a child's body has been found. Bones, a skull apart from the bones there in a bag. FBI confirming to Tim Miller Equisearch and then of course he confirmed to us that FBI believes that this is little Caylee Anthony.
They confirmed that the remains from that bag were hers. An autopsy couldn't determine the cause of death, and without a cause of death, it's a big like bump in the road, because it kind of, you know, you can't really, you can't put the pieces together as accurately. There's no cause of death. Too much time had passed. The conditions that the body was left in weren't very good conditions. It was in a swamp, the water, you know, the animals, it just wasn't good conditions, so they could not determine a cause of death. They did, however, determine that there was no trauma or traces of drugs in the system. So the death was ruled a homicide of undetermined means. And this obviously really affected Cindy and George. Like I said, they loved and they adored Caylee. So on January 23rd, 2009, George actually, I believe he attempted to commit suicide. George left a suicide note. He said that he wanted to be with Caylee. I couldn't find too much information on this, so I don't know if he actually attempted to commit suicide, if he just left the suicide note, or if he, like, I don't know if he left the suicide note and it was found by Cindy and she stopped him. I don't know if he actually attempted and he was unsuccessful, but he is still here today. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the trial, and this trial literally, this trial made me so angry when I was reading about, like, you know, some of the stuff that happened during the trial. And there was just like, I feel like there was so much like evidence that pointed towards the one person that I feel like did it, that a lot of people feel like did it. The trial took about a month and a half. On May 9th, 2011, a jury was selected. It was kind of hard to find people that wouldn't be biased about it, so it took them 11 days to find a jury just because the case was so popular. So Casey Anthony's lawyer, Jose Baez, his opening statement argued that Caylee had actually drowned in the family pool on June 16th, 2008, and that George had helped cover it up. The defense also said that George and Casey's brother Lee sexually abused Casey when she was younger. There was no proof about it, but that was what their opening statement was. Then the prosecutor, Jeff Ashton's circumstantial case, argued that Casey Anthony had actually used chloroform on Caylee, then suffocated her with duct tape. One thing that I forgot to mention is that when Caylee's remains were found, when the skull came out, the skull actually had tape around the mouth area. The skull actually had tape from the chin area all the way up to her nose. So that's kind of what they used for their circumstantial case. They said that Casey used chloroform on Caylee, then suffocated her with the duct tape. There was evidence of searches for chloroform and neck breaking on the Anthony's family home computer. But Cindy Anthony, Casey's mom, actually said that she's the one who searched for those items on the computer, but evidence shows that at the time that those things had been searched, Cindy was actually at work.
And they say this is nothing more than a ploy to shift the blame away from Casey.
I looked up chloroform.
That claim by Cindy Anthony could change everything. Casey's mom telling the jury today that she's the one to blame for a string of searches about chloroform on the family computer.
Were you on that website 84 times? I was on it several times.
One thing to keep in mind is that I feel like Cindy was protecting her daughter Casey. I feel like I said, I feel like she didn't want to believe it, but I think that she was protecting her a little much. I'm 100% sure that Cindy's not the one who searched that up. I'm 100% sure. I don't want to say 100% sure, but it all points to Casey was the one who searched those items. So I don't know why Cindy was like, I mean, I do know why. Cindy was definitely trying to cover up for her daughter Casey. Cindy was definitely trying to, you know, help her daughter Casey out. Another thing to keep in mind is, like I said earlier, Jose Baez, Casey's lawyer, had actually argued that that Caylee had drowned in the pool and that George helped cover it up. So basically they're saying that George was the last one to be seen alive with Caylee. And I watched an interview like from very recently actually where Casey actually said that she still says that George was the last one to be seen alive with Caylee. Even though she told the cops and she told everyone that she had dropped her off at Zanny's, that Zanny was the last one to be seen alive with her. And during the trial, George had actually argued his daughter's defense, Casey's defense, saying that Casey was the last one to see Caylee alive. The day that they left the house on June 16th, 2008. And then the trial came to an end on July 5th, 2011, when Casey Anthony was found.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, verdict as to count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty, so say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 5th day of July, 2011, signed foreperson. As to the charge of aggravated child abuse, verdict as to count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
Not guilty. She was found not guilty of either first-degree murder or manslaughter, but she was convicted on 4 different counts of providing false information to law enforcement. So that sentenced her to 4 years, but she had already served 2 years, and everybody was pissed. Like,
not guilty! Not guilty!
First degree.
No!
My God!
Oh!
Not guilty!
Oh!
Are you kidding me?
No!
What? Not guilty? Not guilty for child abuse. No way. Oh my God!
Who in the heck is in that jury room? Are you nuts? Here's the information.
I can't even believe it.
I don't know that. What happened here? Something happened that wasn't right.
This case was huge. And when she was found guilty, everyone was pissed because I feel like everything points to Caylee. Everything points to Caylee. She was obviously the last one to be seen alive, and I don't understand, like, I don't understand how she could have been found not guilty. Like, when even like during the trial, their opening statement, what her lawyer opened with, there's no proof to what they're saying. And then the prosecutors, I already told you guys this, but the prosecutors, circumstantial case, what they said was that Caylee used the chloroform on Caylee, and I'm sorry, but the prosecutors just makes so much more sense. There's evidence that there was searches for chloroform on the family's computer. So I just don't understand, like, I don't understand. I don't want to talk too much about what I think yet, but on July 17th, 2011, Caylee was actually released from jail, and she walked a free woman. She walked free, and she's been free ever since.
Even in the short walk to an idling SUV that sped off into the night, trailed by helicopters into downtown, where she switched vehicles at one of her attorney's offices and disappeared into the night. The local ABC station reporting she went to a private plane that took her to destinations unknown, leaving behind her childhood home and where she gave birth to Caylee, saw her die, and was acquitted of her murder.
Today, Caylee still lives in Florida. I believe she lives with one of the people that was on her defense team. I'm not 100% sure. But in her most recent interview that I watched, she still claims that she had nothing to do with Caylee's disappearance, that she has no idea what happened to her. And she still claims that George, her father, was the last one to be seen alive with Caylee.
Your understanding, how did she die?
I don't know.
So your parents had her?
My dad did. I don't give a about what anybody thinks about me. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I never will. I'm okay with myself. I sleep pretty good at night.
In the interview, Caylee says she keeps her bedroom decorated with photos of Caylee, openly weeping when she showed off colorful, finger-painted artwork by her daughter.
Another thing that I want to mention before I start talking about what I think is, I watched an interview with an inmate that was actually with Caylee Anthony when she was locked up, I believe, and she did an interview where she said that Caylee told her that she would knock Caylee out to go party. I don't know if it was drugs or if she would hit her, most likely drugs. And she also said that Caylee actually knew details of Caylee's remains, like of Caylee's body, before that information actually became public.
She said that she used to knock the baby out so she can go party. And she would put her to sleep, and then when she'll come back, the baby would still be asleep, and the next day she's awake.
And she would be there, and she would wake up. Did she say what she used to knock her out?
I can't pronounce it. I can't pronounce it that well. Foam. I can't pronounce it.
Now getting into a little bit about what I think. I 100%, hold up, I need some water because I've been talking so much. I 100% think that Caylee did it. I 100% think that Caylee did kill Caylee. And it just seriously, like, it blows my mind, you guys. Like, it's crazy to me how she wasn't, like, you know, held responsible for this. Even if they couldn't prove that she killed Caylee, which to me, like, I know that they have to have like serious evidence that points to her, but everything points to her, like everything. And the fact that Cindy Anthony, her mom, Casey's mom, said that she was the one who looked up chloroform and neck breaking on the computer, it just, like, I understand that her saying that kind of puts a big, you know, like, hole onto the prosecutor's circumstantial case. But after they proved that she was actually at work and it couldn't have been her who looked that up, they should have used that against Casey. They should have used that against Casey. Like, to me, I'm just shocked at the fact that they didn't, like, you know, find her guilty. I'm shocked at the fact that they found her not guilty. And I understand why a lot of people were pissed off, because it's crazy. It's crazy to think that nobody was held responsible for poor little Caylee's death. You know, obviously her death was not, like, her death, like, okay, maybe it could have been an accident. Like, getting into a little bit, like, some theories is, maybe, I do 100% believe that Casey probably would knock Caylee out to go party. She was, like, super into party. She loved to party. So I do 100% believe that maybe she just didn't want to be responsible. She didn't want to take care of her. She wasn't taking care of her the way that she was supposed to. So I do believe that she would drug her to go out. So I don't know if maybe she went overboard with the drugs one day. I don't know if she went overboard with the drugs one day and she actually ended up accidentally killing Caylee, which, even if she accidentally killed her, I still think that she should have been responsible for it. Just the simple fact for drugging your child, she should have already gone to jail just for that. And I feel like maybe she drugged her and she freaked out. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to, you know, go to jail for this. And maybe another reason why the trunk smelled so much like a decomposing body is maybe she drove around with Caylee's little body inside of the trunk for days until she could figure out what to do. And another thing that blows my mind too is how the body was found, like, very close to the Anthony's home. Like, how did they not get a search warrant to search their home, like, you know, before? Like, this could have, like, I don't even know why I'm saying that, because by the time they got the search warrant, you know, they would have already, like, you know, Caylee's death, like, she was already dead by that time. But it just is crazy to me that no one got held responsible for this. So that's, like, one theory, that Casey probably drugged Caylee, like, went overboard with the drugs and accidentally killed her. Another theory, like I said during the trial, is they tried to say that Caylee had actually drowned in the family pool and that George had helped cover it up. But there's no evidence for that. I don't really believe that a lot. There is a lot of videos of them swimming together, of Caylee being in the pool, in the family pool, you know, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Back to the whole drugging Caylee situation. Another theory that people believe is that Zanny, like, wasn't an actual person. That Zanny was actually, like, Xanax. That's why, Casey said that Zanny took her because she had given her too much Xanax, that she drugged her to go to a party, and she actually drugged her with Xanax, and she went overboard with the Xanax, and that's why she said that Zanny took her, because Zanny was actually Xanax. I hope I'm making sense, but yeah, basically that's another theory that people believe. And another really crazy theory that people believe is they believe that George Anthony, Casey's father, was actually Caylee's dad. Because I don't think I talked about it in the video. Caylee's dad actually was never confirmed. No one ever found out who the father was. There was a few people that I read, like, I watched so many, like, interviews about this case, so many articles that I read, and I, like, wrote down as much, like, so much information, like, as much information as I could possibly write down about this case. There's a few guys that I know that Casey had dated, one of them by the name of Tony Lazaro, and I believe that was Casey's boyfriend at the time, and one of her ex-boyfriends' name was Ricardo Morales, and then I believe Jesse Grund was her fiance at the time. So I'm not sure if when this case was happening, if she was with Tony or if she was with Jesse, but I know she was with one of those two. The one that stood out to me though was Jesse Grund, which was her fiance at one point. I don't know if it was her fiance at the time or just at one point, I don't know. I know he actually did meet Caylee, and he actually did spend a good amount of time with Caylee. He was believed to be the father. He actually really wanted to be the father. He loved Caylee as well. He thought she was really outgoing and like a happy little girl, and later on it was confirmed, they did DNA tests and it was confirmed that he was not the father. Caylee's real father was unfortunately believed to have passed away in a car accident, so it was never confirmed who her real father was. But a lot of people think that George Anthony, Casey's dad, was actually Caylee's real father, that the claims that he had actually sexually abused her were true, and that's why she hid her pregnancy for so long, and that he was Caylee's father. And there's a lot of people that actually believe this, and that's why people also say that that's why he tried to commit suicide, because it was actually his daughter. That's another theory. I don't know, who knows, it could be true. But aside from all the theories, aside from everything, I do believe that Casey is the one who is responsible for her daughter Caylee's death. And it's so sad that no one was held responsible for this. It's so sad that Caylee is not going to get justice. It's so sad to me. But that is the end of this video, you guys. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, this is my first video like this, so please give me some pointers in the comments box below. Let me know if you guys enjoy this type of video. Let me know what I could do differently next time, but please just be nice. Another thing I have to say too is I did get a lot of positive feedback, but there was a few people that said, oh, just stick to makeup. Probably just, honestly, just like 2 people. But to those people, like, you know, if you don't like these type of videos, I'm still going to be putting out my other regular content. So if you think I should stick to makeup, then just go watch those videos. You don't need to watch these ones. But I really enjoyed making this video. There's a lot of other cases that I want to cover, a lot of them that don't have a lot of media attention, and I think it's really important to spread awareness about a lot of these cases. Also, let me know in the comments box below what other cases you guys would like me to cover. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you guys did. Subscribe down below. If you guys are new to my channel, please turn on your notifications so you don't miss any more of my future videos. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!